What's up, everybody? T2 here, and I was just thinking about who could be or should be the next president in 2024. And basically, started thinking about this because I was watching a podcast with Andrew Yang interviewing Shane Gillis, and they were talking about how Biden is on the decline now. Nobody likes Biden, and then Trump's probably going to run, but nobody likes Trump. Like the GOP hates Trump now, so it's kind of like you got these two opposing forces that are both shitty. So you need somebody to come up through the middle and not necessarily be like a third party candidate, although that would be great, but somebody. I don't know if they meant like a Republican to run to replace Trump or a Democrat to replace Biden, because it's better if Biden doesn't run for re-election. But like I've always said, there's plenty of people you can pull from, like scientists and engineers and people that are like statesmen and stuff, besides having to choose from politicians and lawyers. I mean, I didn't even really look into lawyers, but that's probably something I should check out. I don't know any famous lawyers that are known to be like good moral character. But I made this list a while back anyway. Who I wanted to be the president, starting from like Reagan on, and I made like this. It looks kind of like a real Google search if it was like an alternate universe, and it was like Ralph Nader would be after Reagan from 89 to 93, 1989 1993, and then Ross Perot do 2 terms, 93 to 2001. Then Al Gore from 2001 2004 doing a 1 term, and then Ron Paul doing a term from 2005 2009. Not Rand Paul, but Ron Paul. And then Bernie Sanders 2010 to 2017 doing 2 terms, and then Jill Stein for the last election 2017. I guess that'll be the next to the last election, so I made this like a while back. I must have made this in like 2018 or something, 2017. Anyway, that's kind of like my ultimate list of like who the president should have been. That's why I don't vote, because I've never had any of the options that are on my list come on to the final 2. But anyway, I was thinking about how, like, if you think about a problem long enough and hard enough, and you kind of just sit and analyze it, you can usually come to a solution about it. So I was thinking, like, how would you find like the best people to be? Because usually you want the president to be somebody that's not trying to be president, doesn't want the job. So I was thinking like the Time magazine most influential people. I started looking at that. I started looking at people that did TED Talks, because those people wasn't really good because they're just like niche people that have a specific skill into one thing. And I was looking into people that are like good orators, because it's like the main job of a president is like giving speeches and talks and explaining your decisions and stuff. People that are well spoken, people that have maybe like they've interviewed people before, so they've talked to a lot of people and they've got a lot of insight. People that are popular, because that's obviously you're going to have to be popular to win. And people that have a lot of knowledge about a lot of different things, and that would be useful for a president. And then people that have like a trustability factor, that like you can trust them to not, use the nukes. Like, I don't even think the president even has as much power as we think he does, because somebody was just saying recently like Trump was going to find out about like Area 51 and aliens and all that, but he couldn't, because there's actually this machine that actually runs the government. It's like the government behind the government, wherever, deep state and all that stuff. So I don't know if it even really matters who the president is. But Andrew Yang was talking about people like Dave Chappelle, which I couldn't see that because he's like such a big like marijuana proponent. It'd be kind of weird. He's always like joking around too much. Mark Cuban, which he's a billionaire, and I don't know anything about his morals. Also, I was looking at people that are American born and not too old, because I had a lot of good ideas, but they were like 80 years old now, or dead people, so that doesn't even count. Another one that's talking about running for president is The Rock, and it just seems, I don't know, The Rock is kind of like if Hulk Hogan ran for president. Like, it's too out there. So he's kind of like one of those that has a lot of trustability, though. Like, everybody trusts him because he's a good person. And then I started thinking of like actors, but I'm going to talk about actors last because I don't think the president should be an actor really, but even Ronald Reagan was, and then Sonny Bono was a senator, right? So, you also have people that are just like public figures that are in politics already. I wanted to mention first, like Liz Cheney. They've talked about her. She's a senator from Wyoming, or a congressman from Wyoming, the one congressman they get. And if she doesn't win her election, she had made a quote saying like she would still prevent Trump from getting in the White House if she lost, which kind of makes it sound like she's going to run as a third party or run against him. And like if she gets the third party like 5% of the votes, it will take enough off the Republicans that the Democrat would automatically win. Unless Trump's running as a third party because the GOP doesn't support him, that'd be also a possibility. And Meghan McCain, I don't even know much about Meghan McCain, but she's like one of those people that's like, she's around politics like her dad was John McCain. Is she doing something now? I don't even know what my argument would have been for her. I just wrote her down. So you've got, this is kind of, let me go into the comedians first. I think that's a good place to start. Because I think comedians are a good example of people. You have to know a lot of shit to be a comedian, especially if you're a political commentator, a comedian. So Andrew Yang also mentioned Jon Stewart, which I think would be great. He's recently made a video coming out against Ted Cruz because he said he was going to get that bill passed for the vets, and he didn't. That's like in the news right now. And I mean, he's been talking about politics for years. He's met pretty much everybody. He's got a lot of experience. He just like, I think on the trustability, he's good. Knowledge, he's good. Popularity, he's good. Maybe not with the Republicans so much, but he's also a good orator. I mean, he's like perfect candidate. And he's not too old. He's like right there where you've got a lot of gray hair, but you're not like senile or anything yet. So that's good. Also, Stephen Colbert, same thing. But he's a little bit too Catholic for me. But like he's got kind of the similar track record. The same reasons. They also mentioned Al Franken. Because he was he a senator or a congressman? And so he was already in politics, and he's a comedian. He's wrote books, I think. So that would be a good possibility. And then you probably just expect somebody like Joe Rogan would probably be good, because everybody likes Joe Rogan. And he's interviewed everybody in the world, so he knows a lot of everything. But he's also, he drinks a lot, and he smokes a lot of weed, and he goes out and kills elk, and all that stuff's kind of off-putting to a lot of weird people. But compared to like Trump, I mean, I think it'd be great. And then I also was thinking like Louis C.K., and I was going to make this whole argument about how he's similar to Clinton. We had that masturbating in public kind of, not in public, but in front of women kind of scandal, and it's not really important if you want to be president. And then I remember that he's Mexican, so it doesn't really count. So, is any of these other people? We'll go through this. I don't know where all these people are from. There's not a whole lot of women on here, but I thought maybe Ellen DeGeneres maybe would be kind of good because she's interviewed a lot of people, knows a lot of stuff. But then I think I heard that she's like a real asshole, like in real life. So maybe that's not a good idea. And then Adam Carolla, I think, would be really good, because Adam Carolla, if you listen to him, that's the thing about people that are like YouTubers, or they write books, or they do a lot of interviews. Like, you're seeing so much of them, like over a long period of time, you kind of get an idea of who they really are, that they can't really hide it. That's the problem with politicians. You only see them in like sound bites. But Adam Carolla, if you listen to his radio shows, he's always talking about like the problem with the world is this, and this is how you'd fix it. And he's always got solutions to stuff. So that's really big. So I'd put him like way up there with Jon Stewart maybe. That's all I've got for comedians. Now, I'm going to use some photos because I don't know if you guys know all these people. Let's see here. So there's this guy. I'm going to go into writers. Wait a minute. I also wanted to mention Steve Ranella. He's that guy that was on Joe Rogan a lot. He's a hunter. but he's a good guy. You can tell he's a good person because he's always like talking about the ethics and stuff of hunting. And I don't know if he'd be interested in being president, but that's great. You don't want somebody that's interested, but he's also not popular enough. I don't know if he's knowledgeable in politics enough. So he's missing some of my key factors, but I think he would be good. So let's get into writers. This is John Meacham. He is a writer, and he's written books on, like this one's called The Soul of America, The Battle for Our Better Angels, and he's got one called Faith and History, and he's written books about presidents. The American Lion, about Andrew Jackson. He wrote Franklin and Winston, about Franklin Roosevelt and Winston Churchill. He wrote a book on Thomas Jefferson. He wrote one about George Bush Jr. And there was light on Lincoln. I mean, this guy has like studied the presidents. I mean, he would be perfect. I mean, look at him. He looks presidential. This guy looks like a president. So, I think that would be like one of my prime candidates. You want somebody that like a writer is perfect to be president. Especially if they're writing like biographies about president. They've studied the history. They know everything. It's like they're already like suited for the job. And then you got Malcolm Gladwell. I don't know if he like really be suited to be president. I don't think people would vote for him because he's kind of a weird looking guy. But he's the one that wrote the book Outliers, about you need 3,000 hours to be like an expert on something. And oh, maybe this one right here, maybe not be good. What is this book? Oh, that's not him. That's Karen Hunter wrote that. So never mind that. I don't know if you guys could see that book. Yeah, Malcolm Gladwell's. He's written like 5-6 books that are like really kind of weird. I haven't read them yet, but they're like on important topics. Then I looked into the science fiction authors, because sci-fi authors, like Orson Scott Card, right? He wrote Ender's Game, and it's like full of politics type stuff about John Locke and Demosthenes, and like making debates between different political structures and styles. So let me get a picture of him up. That's what he looks like. But he also wrote some books about like a takeover of America or something like that, about like empire, and I haven't read any of those, but it's like he's also like, I don't really trust him because he's a little bit too, I think he's Mormon, right? So like too much religion or a weird religion kind of freaks me out. I don't trust people like that. But just going off the Ender's Game series, you read those and you think, well, this guy's a fucking genius. He knows how the world should be run. Like Robert Heinlein. I mean, most people would disagree with that, but like I think Robert Heinlein had a really good idea of what the future could look like if we all like got our shit together. Of course, he's dead, long dead. And then John Scalzi, he wrote a book called Agent of the Stars about like introducing an alien to the population, to the society. He might be good, but I don't know. He's kind of hit or miss on some of his books. And that's not really a whole lot to go on either, just because he wrote one book that... and then you got a black female, Shonda Rhimes, TV series writer. Shonda Rhimes is like the shit. She wrote Grey's Anatomy and Private Practice and all those kind of shows, and like the narration and the dialogue, you can tell she's like thinking about stuff. She's got a lot of answers to problems, and like I feel like she'd know what to do. Plus, it'd be the first black and the first woman president and the first black woman president. So that'd be good. We just need to have that to happen just to get it out of the way. And then, even better, I think, as far as TV writing, David Kelly. Let's see what he looks like. David A. Kelly. Nope, that's not him. David E. Kelly. He wrote the Boston Legal and all those lawyer shows. And what is it? The Good Wife. No, wait, that's Robert Keane and his wife. Is that what he looks like? Is that a good picture? Yeah, all those legal shows, they have a lot of legal dilemmas in them, which is kind of like what you would need to be a politician, because most politicians are lawyers, and he's like gone through all the intricacies of law, and like he makes a lot of points about conservatism and Democrats and stuff. And yeah, if you just seen any of the shows he makes, you could tell he'd probably be like a good leader, because he's like asking all the right questions. And then, just for a joke, I put down George R.R. Martin. Like, what would that be like if the guy who wrote Game of Thrones was the leader of the free world? I mean, that's kind of weird. There's a lot of rape and murder and like monarchy and stuff. Probably not a good idea, but it's interesting to think about. And then I was looking at like people from atheism, and then you got like Christopher Hitchens, who's dead. He would have been superb, but I think he's also British. You got Richard Dawkins, he's British. Carl Sagan would be good, but he's dead. So the only one that's like really a good candidate, I think, maybe Daniel Dennett, I'm not really sure. Sam Harris. He looks presidential, right? He looks like DeSantis or something, one of those like Florida guys. He wrote The Moral Landscape, so he obviously knows about morality. He's like writing books about it. Oh, here with him is one of my other ideas, Neil deGrasse Tyson. You got to look to your scientists and your engineers and people that, maybe not engineers as much, I don't know what that had to do with being president, but I think we're ready for another black man already. Neil deGrasse Tyson, he loves to he's in the public eye a lot. He loves explaining things maybe a little bit too much. That might be a problem. I don't know if it would be in his wheelhouse, but I think he'd be a good person that we need to talk about. It's kind of like one of those people like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood or Bob Ross, one of those kind of guys that's like, you just really trust them a lot. They haven't had any Me Too movement things or any faux pas or anything like that. Another one, scientist I'm going to call him, Adam Savage from Mythbusters. I think he'd be a good president. I don't know why. I don't know if he'd be interested, but maybe Jamie Hyneman too. I heard Jamie Hyneman's kind of an asshole though, but maybe that's what you want in a president. He could be like a Chester A. Arthur or one of those kind of presidents. It's kind of like a little bit off, but yeah, Adam Savage I think would be good. Lawrence Krauss, is he a scientist? Yeah, Universe from Nothing. This guy here knows what it's all about. Lawrence Krauss, I think he'd be great. If you don't know who that is, he's a very well-known scientist and author, and I don't know what that have to do with being president, but I think it'd be a good idea for once to finally have somebody that knows stuff in the White House. Yeah, all these scientists, I don't really have a lot of good reasons why they should be president. This one probably gonna be super controversial. Bob Lazar. This is the guy. He looks like Stephen King, like so much right there in that picture. But this is the guy that was supposedly in Area 51, and he had like a hydrogen-powered Corvette that he made. I think it was Corvette or Trans Am. Super smart guy. Claims that he worked on alien spaceships, and I tend to believe him. So he's already got clearance, or he had special security clearance, and I think he could run the country. Just saying. He's like one of those people that's like, you're never going to be as smart as him, like an Einstein or a Stephen Hawking type person. Why not let them lead and see how they do? Next, I got, this is a really out there, Kenneth Miller. This guy, you may not know him. He is a guy that was in the trial to determine whether creationism could be taught in schools. And he's not an atheist. He is a Catholic. But he was a biologist, first and foremost, and he wrote a bunch of textbooks on biology, and he was there to testify about how creationism is wrong and it shouldn't be taught in schools and stuff. I mean, that kind of, what do you call it? Trustworthiness or honesty or whatever, or like whatever. It's like, it's against your own interest and you're still like willing to testify against it. It's like, you got to be able to trust that guy. Plus he's smart and he's a biologist, so he's like a scientist, so I think he'd be great. And then this one's really interesting. Scientist and celebrity and a woman, Mayim Bialik. Why not? Why isn't it not time for the first female president to be Mayim Bialik? She's a neuroscientist. Look, she's got books behind her. She's probably super smart on a lot of different things. Why has she never been on The View or something like that? I feel like she should be on there. All people on The View, they're so cringy. It's like you don't trust them. But Mayim Bialik could be fine. She could be president. That's all the scientists I've got. And then I started looking into YouTubers. So, like, just to have like a real conservative, I think this guy's a conservative. Paul Harrell. This guy does gun demonstration videos on YouTube. But he's super smart, super intelligent, and he's like a teacher, and he has a sense of humor. I think he used to be in the government in some position. He probably maybe had some kind of clearance. There's probably also some military figures that I don't know about that would probably be good for this. But I figure like he would be popular with Republicans enough that he could maybe win. If enough people knew who he was. He's not as popular though. He's only like a niche popularity on YouTube. And then I got to looking into, I put Destiny down here. That's probably a bad idea. I shouldn't take that off. He just likes to debate people. So I figured that would kind of qualify him because he's always debating people. You need somebody that knows how to debate. Kyle Kalinske and David Pakman, both of those are political commentators. I think would be fine. They're kind of young, but you can tell that they know a lot of stuff because they can talk about politics without having to have it like on a teleprompter. So you trust them. Also, Sam Cedar. What is his show called? The Majority Report, right? Also, kind of looks presidential. Looks like a Colbert or Jon Stewart. Probably a little bit more liberal than most of these other guys. I also looked at some radio personalities like Neil Bortz. I was a big fan of Neil Bortz. He is more of a libertarian. And I don't know, he's maybe had some kind of weird stuff he said a while back. I can't remember what it was, but I always liked listening to him on the radio. He had some good opinions. And then journalists in general, like Katie Couric, maybe. She's like older now. She could be like the first woman president, maybe. She's like, if you're a journalist and you're interviewing people in and around politics and doing news stories and you're up on everything, I think that kind of qualifies you. I mean, if somebody like Trump could be president, surely somebody that's a journalist. Christiane Amanpour. Is that how you spell her name? She's one of the most decorated journalists we have, right? Won all kind of awards. She'd be great. I don't know much about her, but also I was thinking, like, I looked at a lot of these journalists, and a lot of them are like super old. But Chris Wallace, he's the guy that always does the debates. He's the host of the debates. Maybe it's time he got his own shot at being president instead of just being a host. And then just for a joke, I put Glenn Beck on here because I just wanted to mention, like, 2 or 3 presidents ago, I thought Glenn Beck would have been a crazy idea. Man, he looks like my old boss. Now that he's older, though, he doesn't. But like Glenn Beck was, he was wanting to like have his own country, like secede part of the United States and have his own like city or something run by its own independent power, and kind of like wanting to be a rebel. Now he has like the show on the Blaze Radio. He's kind of like a crazy person, but he's like Trump, but not as bad. He'd probably end up being pretty bad. He's like one of those guys that he got COVID and he was using ivermectin to try to heal himself. Crazy right wing, but I just wanted to throw him in there just for like a wild card, I guess. And that's all everybody except for the actors. Now, who do I think would be good actors? Who is like an actor that everybody trusts, everybody thinks is a good guy? Keanu Reeves. I don't think he's ever mentioned ever wanting to run for president, but I think Keanu Reeves would be maybe good. Steve Carell. I don't know if anybody would take him seriously enough, but he's also kind of up there with like Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert a little bit. If he was like the character from The Big Short, then maybe he'd be. There's a little preview from my next book video. Maybe he'd be good. I mean, I'm talking about actors like their characters or who their personality is. I don't know. I feel like if you play a character, then you're probably a little bit like that person. I don't know. Like Paul Giamatti, right? He's played presidents. He's played John Adams. He's played Ted Roosevelt. He's played a New York district attorney or state attorney on Billions. He's got the orator skills. He's popular. He's probably pretty knowledgeable. If like he knows, maybe it's just the writing is really good for everything. I don't know. He's also kind of a little bit Napoleon-like. Like a short guy that maybe gets angry a lot. His characters get angry a lot. See, I keep talking about people like they're their characters. Like Kiefer Sutherland, that's one of them I wrote down. Kiefer Sutherland plays the president, or he plays like somebody protecting the president in 24. So he's like somebody you would kind of expect to be president if an actor ran for president. But like that's not how Reagan worked. Reagan played like in westerns or something, right? He wasn't playing like presidents on TV. And then I was thinking Clint Eastwood, but he's too old. But Clint Eastwood has a son named Scott Eastwood, which I don't know how smart he is or not. He's like really good looking guy, and like he would probably be super popular. I think he's like a bartender though. So stupid of an idea. And then I was like, oh well, Johnny Depp. Everybody likes Johnny Depp right now, but he's probably not smart enough to be president. And then I thought like maybe William Shatner, because Shatner is kind of like, he's got that kind of a statesman kind of, I don't know. He was fucking Captain Kirk. Surely he can lead the country if he can lead the Enterprise, right? And he wrote books. I've got another one of his books over here also. He was a musical artist for a while. He's done everything. And he was on that Boston Legal show as a lawyer. So I feel like he's just kind of an everyman. I don't know. Also, he was on with James Spader. I think James Spader, he does a lot of really good acting as a lawyer. I don't know if he's actually as smart as the characters he plays. If he is, then fucking James Spader would be great. Or Jeff Daniels. Not the Dumb and Dumber Jeff Daniels, but the Jeff Daniels from The Newsroom, where he plays a news anchor. And he gives this really great speech. If you've never seen the speech from Newsroom, look it up. About how America is not the greatest country in the world. That'll like put you in tears almost. And then I was thinking of Bruce Willis. Would he be a good president? I don't know. And then maybe. He's never played like a president though, has he? He's always played like an action guy. Maybe like Bill Murray back in the day, if he hadn't got old. Maybe he'd be a fun president. Woody Harrelson? Maybe. I'm just thinking about that True Detective show, how good that was. And so I was thinking about Matthew McConaughey, too, because he's talking about actually running for governor of Texas. And then he said he wasn't going to run for governor of Texas. Does that mean he's going to run for president instead? And then I think Andrew Yang mentioned him also, like, running. So I don't know. But these are like so many people I've just listed. Surely one of these people could be president. Plus there's so many like other people I haven't even talked about, like sports celebrities or lawyers or people from fields that I'm not familiar with, like the military, or people that are in like Mark Cuban, that are like industry leaders or CEOs, people on Wall Street. See, I don't know if that would be good. I wouldn't trust people from Wall Street. But yeah, what do you guys think about it? Who do you think should be the next president, if it has to be, if it was like a celebrity? Or do you know anybody that's maybe not a celebrity? Maybe you know somebody that's like a real smart guy down at your local pub. He's like, he just seems to know everything, but like there's gnats in my house. The problem with that is they're not popular, though. You kind of have to. How do people even get popular if they're becoming a politician? How do you start out? Like in local government, and then your town, you become like a mayor or something? And how do you get to be in a Congress? You just got to run for Congress and have enough people in your area vote for you? That seems like a weird process. That's why I think it's all like skull and bones stuff. It's like secret societies actually run the country, and that's how people kind of get popular. It's like these artists that came out of nowhere, like Billie Eilish. She's a talentless hack. She can't sing. She just whispers stuff, and she's super popular. And Post Malone, he just came out of nowhere. He's got a couple decent songs. One of them is not even really him. That Sunflower song, like, he's not good. He's a nice guy, but like, I feel like there's a secret cabal running everything. Maybe this is making an argument for one of my recommendations go down, but yeah, this is a long video. I'm going to hear. What do you guys think?